Welcome to Doorway to the Paintings. I have a very interesting painting for you to look at tonight. No, this is not Gromus. Definitely not Gromus. Could be an archetype, though, of Gromus. But it's an ogre of some sort. Some giant ogreish creature. And our hero is up here. And it's one of my favorite paintings. It's almost 100% Impressionism. And it just stimulates my imagination very much. I really like this painting. Definitely reminds me of a storybook, or a storybook could be made with a painting like this. And it really is a representation of real life rather than it being real life. It's the emotions of real life kind of put on the canvas rather than the reality. What's going on behind the scenes, as I've said in some of my other videos. So let's take a closer look at this one. Yeah, I really do favor this painting quite a bit. It just stimulates my imagination so very much. I love the buildings in the background and in the front, but I really like the buildings. They're just, I can get lost in this world. It's just very stimulating for me because they're my type. This is really my type of painting. Makes you wonder what's in these buildings. Each window, there could be a story. Well, many stories tall, but I mean, you can make many stories from this painting. Who knows what ogres or goblins can be in these buildings. And there's a big one right there. A big ogre. He looks like Gromus, but he has red eyes. It's not him. Maybe it's his brother. You never know. And the moon is taking a nap inside the cloud. Now this is real Impressionism. I love this. There's so much you can do with Impressionism. So many things you can invent. So many different twists you can put on things. Make things look exactly the way you want them to look. Whether it's realistic or not. In this case, not realistic at all. In this case here, in this with the moon. Gee, it looks, to me, it's just awesome. A sleeping moon kind of resting its head in the clouds at night. Probably a cold night next to the mountains here. You got the mountain peaks. You got the hero with exaggerated boots and clothes and sword, shield. I tried to give him a look of, kind of gave him an Eastern look like India or Pakistan, and give him kind of that flavor, and really like the way this character looks. It could be like in India or Pakistan. There was a book, I never read it, but I heard about it. I had this Beowulf book, which I did read, but inside that book it talked about an older, not an older book, excuse me, it wasn't older. To my knowledge, it could have been, but inside that Beowulf book, it talked about another book called Wonders of the East. Had different, just wonderful paintings in there, and I think there was a depiction of a giant. And so that's kind of what inspired me to paint this, but this looks almost nothing like that picture. It looks almost nothing like that painting, but it inspired me to give this kind of an Eastern look. Like in the India or Pakistan area. This, to me, it's just a fascinating character here, along with this giant ogre. Give the full view here. Just show you some of the building. How I made it. Exaggerated the curves and made it look pretty stylistic with the design of the walls and with this curvature here. And definitely Impressionism, so you can manipulate it in almost any way you want. Yeah, he's got those orange, kind of orangish eyes, reddish orange, maybe a little pinkish in there too. And then the clouds, I really like to exaggerate the clouds often. And then the stars, I made different patterns with the stars. There's plenty of different patterns and shapes with the stars here. Really enjoyed doing this painting because I can create, I can invent. I didn't have to copy a photograph or copy real life, which I don't like to do. I just like to use real life as an inspiration. Really enjoy this painting. Got the mountains, because everything could have style and character, more so than it would in real life. I do like painting real life a little bit, but I like a balance between Impressionism and real life. This could be a scary bedtime story, very scary bedtime story, or maybe kind of a charming, delicious kind of scare where it's not really that disturbing, but almost maybe like Jack and the Beanstalk, maybe in that genre. Gee, he's got this sword and shield. Imagine this thing coming after you. Coming out from this opening, and this looks like almost like a big door. Is he coming from another dimension, or is he just a giant who was inside this giant structure here and he came out to try to grab our hero and devour him? Pretty unique design to the building. This almost looks like the tower, like a watchtower from England that would be part of a castle. Someone would be here watching from this tower. And you have these buildings I showed you before, but I really like these buildings. I gave them a little bit of an unrealistic shape, or maybe more than a little, but I think it gives it style and character. I really like the clouds. And this cloud is pretty exaggerated, but I kind of like these smoky clouds better, where the moon is sleeping within the cloud, the man in the moon. And you got the mountains. Hope he doesn't chase him all the way up to the peaks. Gets cold up there. Very cold. If this giant stood up and we measured his whole height, he might be about 25, 30 feet tall. If this guy here was 5'10" or 6 feet, this giant would probably be about that size, 25, 30 feet tall. I could have put a beard on him, or a mustache and a hat, so he wouldn't look so much like Gromus, but I just felt like painting it this way. It was just how I felt when I painted it. And I think I did this probably about, I would say 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Well, 5 to 7, something like that. I like how everything has somewhat of an exaggeration. I think it makes it more fun. Just more fun. And I used black because I wanted a really black sky, really dark sky in the background, suggesting that it's really, really late at night. I wanted everything here to be just empty and kind of vacant and dark looking. It's just the two characters and their confrontation. the stars. Yeah, just thinking about another inspiration behind a lot of paintings like this, where I put a black sky, really dark sky with these gray empty buildings. I think it has something to do with seeing some of those movies when I was younger, of a city where it was vacant, maybe like Escape from New York, and you just had the people in there who were prisoners, and then at nighttime you saw the power was out and you saw those buildings. And then also a lot of the myths kind of inspired this painting, and then a video game or two, probably like Ghosts and Goblins, maybe played into it a little bit, but most of it's just from my own imagination. Probably, I mean, a lot of it is. I mean, it doesn't really look like Escape from New York, but just the buildings, how they were kind of vacant and dark at night like that with no lights. One of my favorite movies, by the way. Yeah, the character, I really like the colors here. Got the blue vest, green pants, nice belt. Then you got the light, kind of very light greenish, bluish shoes. Curved sword, almost like a scimitar. I think that's what they say, scimitar. Then the shield, I just gave it a nice design. But he could be like from ancient India or Pakistan. I just made my own colors. I didn't really copy any design from any particular uniform when I did this painting. Just, it has a fascinating look to me. Really enjoyed painting this and enjoy looking at it too. As far as the star patterns went, I just did whatever came to mind. Just tried to make all kinds of interesting shapes with the stars and different patterns to make it look more interesting. It's one of my favorite paintings. It really is one that's fun, really fun, I think. Hope you really enjoyed this painting and enjoyed looking at it. If you like this video, consider subscribing, and I'll try to make another video as soon as I can, maybe in another week or two. And I'll be back after midnight, whenever it's dark. At least that's the theme of the show. And I'll see you when it's late at night. Take care, everybody. Watch out for this guy.